I tell people you want to be fat, faithful, available, teachable. If you are faithful, available, and teachable, Iron Valley is the magnet where you can learn, where you can find people who actually care and are willing to help you succeed. That's the opposite of the real estate industry. The place where the broker that we worked for, nice people, but there was no culture of anybody caring.
Welcome to the Your Peak Life podcast. Let's conquer the summit of life and reach the apex of our potential.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Your Peak Life podcast. Today, we have a special guest, goes by the name of Christopher Castle. So I'm just going to jump right in, Chris. Recently, we started a training program, and kind of from one of the slogans in class, we spun it into this podcast because we thought that Your Peak Life could be a conversation that was about more than just real estate.
Right.
You know, we can talk about all kinds of things, and we can have different interviews and bring different people in from different industries, but we figure it best to start with our people, right? So the first thing I'm going to ask is that you just share a little bit about yourself, what kind of brought you to the real estate industry, how long you've been in real estate, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Well, I'm not ashamed to say that what brought me to the real estate industry was failure. People who are the most...
So dark, so quick.
No, I mean, everybody fails at something. And people who are averse at failure may realize that their best move has just been missed because they're afraid to fail. So I've never been afraid to fail. I've had 4 different careers. I was a teacher. I didn't fail at that, but I did it. I was a youth pastor. So I did that for 10 years. I was in the hospitality industry that started in very humble, little places and ultimately led to one of the top restaurants in the entire world. And that's just not a slogan that they put on, but it's a Michelin 3-star, 5-star, 5-diamond hotel and restaurant. And then I got to real estate, but through the vehicle of failure. So I've always aspired to go higher and bigger than I can do. And maybe the phrase fake it till you make it worked for me. So I could shoot for something bigger and then find out, hey, I like this or I'm good at it. And eventually someone else comes along and slaps me in the face and says, you're not good at it. Get out of here. No, but you learn yourself.
Right.
And so that's what got me here. I think my success story is, a lot of people say you need to be lucky. I had a fantastic realtor.
Let's talk about that for a minute,
Yeah.
man. I want to dive into that because you're talking about the vehicle of failure. And I kind of want to talk about that vehicle and that point in time in your life and get to know more about your realtor. And if I know anything about the story, they were following up with you and it turned into the relationship we know today.
So I actually had got my real estate license in 2014, but I was going to focus on the commercial side.
Okay.
And this is while I was working, 55, 60 hours a week in hospitality. And it's very, very hard to live in 2 worlds. Absolutely. So I was dabbling in real estate, and on my day off, it was like, oh, now I'm going to drive into Washington, D.C., and I'm going to go to medical buildings. And it ultimately just didn't interest me, but I had my license.
Right.
So my wife and I were looking for a house. We stumble upon a realtor who actually takes our phone call at about, I think it was 9:45, 10 o'clock at night. I knew that no one was going to answer the phone, but sure enough,
they answered.
Yeah, he answered the phone. His name was Edgar Munoz, and he's this real soft talking guy. And he's like, yeah, I'll get your information for you.
Yeah.
And we actually had been working with a realtor for a few months, but at one point, Giselle and I looked at each other and said, we feel like we're the one doing the work. I mean, we're digging deep, we're throwing out the houses. And so, but ultimately we met up with Edgar, who immediately had answers for us. We had a fantastic experience. Now, again, that experience is based on someone who was in the hospitality industry, someone
Right.
who knew
Understands customer service.
exactly. And what sort of took me back is that Edgar was not dressed in a flashy way. He didn't speak in some way that was like
That super slippery sales tongue, that used car salesman.
exactly.
Yeah.
It was the opposite. And he fulfilled all of our needs. We found a great house, and it was a wonderful experience. And here's another thing. After the house closed, I still had questions.
Yeah.
And I still had my realtor available, accessible, providing information. I mean, he went so far beyond. So
I love that you bring this up, because all of that is a testament to why Edgar is now one of my business partners and a managing broker at this company.
right. The big
know.
reveal.
Yeah. Like it's, the truth is in the pudding, man. Obviously his performance, he does this with a high level of morality and humanity in mind.
Right.
You know?
Well, so he stood out as being different. All right. So now I am still in the hospitality industry, managing restaurants, a number of restaurants and bars at a Virgin Beach resort that was supposedly striving for 5-star. There's a high cost to be paid for that, but we had differences. So I found myself without a job, and then
Got it.
Edgar finds out and says, "Hey, why don't you try real estate?" Well, I actually have a realtor's license. Really? Yeah.
So you had a real estate license.
Mm-hmm.
Edgar helped you and your wife find your house.
Mm-hmm.
You get laid off from your job.
Mm-hmm.
Edgar says, come do real estate.
Right. Because
Where are we at now?
Because he told me the two things that I needed. He said, what you need to succeed, and this is something that most new realtors, or people who want to become a realtor, or a real estate agent, what they don't understand is, yeah, go ahead, pass your test. I mean, you'll study hard and you'll learn a lot, and woohoo, I passed it. Well, big deal. You're not going to make any money.
The real work just started.
Exactly. Yeah. Edgar said, Chris, there's two things that I can provide for you. I will be your mentor, and I will provide leads. Here's what it's going to cost you. And I looked at it and said, what do I have to lose?
Right.
All right. So what happened was, it took a few months before I actually generated any revenue. It was August 19th when I think that I got my, joined with local association. And then December 9th is when I closed on my first house. In my first full year, because I had a mentor, because I had someone who was teaching me step by step and always accessible to me, I did about $8 million in sales that year. The next year, I don't know, I think it was 12 million. And then the next year it was like 14 million. Mm-hmm. And this year it's like 300,000. No, that's just a joke. But anyhow, who cares about me? Basically, anybody who's listening here is, well, what about me? What am I going to get from it? So the experience is, one, failure is a great teacher. Those who are afraid to fail will not learn. And trying new things is great when we have the right formula. And this might get to your next question. Why Iron Valley? And Iron Valley is the magnet for hungry people who are willing. I tell people, you want to be fat, faithful, available, teachable. If you are faithful, available, and teachable, Iron Valley is the magnet where you can learn, where you can find people who actually care and are willing to help you succeed. That's the opposite of the real estate industry. The place where the broker that we worked for, nice people, but there was no culture of anybody caring. It was basically like, oh, he's getting ready to walk off a cliff. Come on, everybody, come take a look.
So my two questions, really, you kind of tied them into one, was going to be, was this your first firm? The answer is no.
Correct.
The other one was going to be, what are the differences you've seen from, and it doesn't have to just be another real estate firm, just from any companies you've worked for, from leadership you've been under. What's the differences between that and being in the environment that we've cultivated here?
Right. It couldn't be like you got a gray wall right here and we got a black wall over there. It's a night and day, black and white difference from the culture that we came from and where we are in Iron Valley. Iron Valley is a network of people who recognize that succeeding is not when I step on your neck and crawl and climb over you.
Yeah, no, it's doing it together.
There's plenty of houses out there. There's plenty of clients out there. And even though occasionally we may stumble upon somebody else's client, it seldom ever happens. So you have this whole entire network of people who say, it's fun to succeed and I'll help you succeed as well, even though in a technical sense, you could be my competition.
Right.
Yeah. There is no other firm out there that I know about that I have seen.
It's powerful words, man. I appreciate it. Because this is what we wake up and do every day. So
Right. Yeah. And by the way, you do practice what you preach because it's the owners of Hampton Roads, Iron Valley Hampton Roads, that there's always something on Facebook or Instagram. There's a video, there's something. And it's not you guys saying, look what I'm doing, but really it's focused on, look what you can do.
Yeah. How can you impact your life?
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
I would agree with that. That's a good spin on it. Haven't heard anybody put it like that, man.
Well, the greatest leaders in the world, in my opinion, are servants.
Absolutely.
They are, the most influential person in my life is Jesus Christ. And he said, whoever wants to be the greatest among you has to become servant to the least. And that whole perspective says real success is not what I get, but it's how I give through other people. And Iron Valley Real Estate Hampton Roads with 5 locations is saying, we're just seeking to be a channel. And if you want to be part of our team, we want to help you succeed. But your success is not it's not an empty pit. It's a channel. You're going to continue to give to other people. You're going to succeed through people, not just to people.
I love it. The next question that we've been asking, man, is where do you see yourself in 5 years? You have this new, flourishingly successful career, right? You recently welcomed a child.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we've got a 2.5-month-old baby.
Yeah. So
Isabella.
So what's life look like for the next 5, man?
The hardest thing to get in the world is wisdom. There's a proverb that says, pursue wisdom more than silver and gold. Because wisdom is the ability to see far into the future through the eyes of someone who made a mistake, and they're waving their hands and they're saying, don't go this way. And in my life, when I think about, success, success is so loosely defined. Success is whatever someone says it is, but that's not really what success is. Success is the person who is 10, 15, 20 years down the road who says, I am so glad I made that choice. And so I ask myself, well, as I'm succeeding in one place in life, what does success really, really look like? And success to me is the ability to preserve the best things of life. Now we have to sacrifice time. We exchange it in order to get something back. So the smarter we are, the more of our time we get to keep, the better the return for our time. So a farmer gets out there and digs up the ground and fills his face with dust and, has a machine break down. It's a lot of hard work. And then they, put seed into the ground and get nothing. But wisdom says, well, hold on, the rain's coming. And in about 3 months, we're going to have a huge harvest. So we're planning right now. So in 5 years, what I want to see is a foundation that has been planted so that I'll be able to keep as much time as I possibly can while accomplishing, our life goals. Everybody wants financial, freedom.
Yeah.
So,
But even that is subjective, right?
it sure is.
What's that look like to you in your situation?
Yeah.
Because everybody's life is not designed the same.
Well, see, that's a very good point. There's somebody in the news who presumably has made millions and millions of dollars and doesn't have that money now, and it was used on getting things that he wanted. So people can aspire to have financial freedom and get the wrong thing. So for me, this is just a silly illustration, but I'll drive around in a 10-year-old car that has 200,000 miles on it, and someone else can pay $60,000 for it brand new. I'll take it 10 years later and pay $6,000 for it, and I'm happy as can be. So see, it's a matter of perspective, and you can be dumb and buy some car that is going to crash and kill you. But so your real value system is not getting more things, but it is knowing what you want to get and why you want to get it. That's pretty philosophical. Sorry about that.
No, I love it because I would agree. Although I do have a brand new car, but it is paid off. It was paid off by my house, which is an asset.
Right.
So
yes,
perspective,
yes.
Right? So it's just all
exactly.
about the moves you're making and how you're making them.
But you know what? So, some people they want to be able to go out and buy a brand new car, and once they get the brand new car, there's going to be a little bit of a feeling inside them that says, now what? So there's nothing wrong with hey, I want to be able to have enough money to go buy a Tesla or, an M Series BMW or the AMG Series.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. And it's fun to aspire for those things. As long as eventually through the process of time, we realize.
That's not where happiness lies.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
It's who's in the front seat with you.
Absolutely.
That's really, really where
That's
it's
the
at.
real deal. That's
Yeah.
what's going to matter.
Yeah, exactly.
When they're burying us,
Right,
or burning
right.
us to ashes is also the only thing anybody's going to have.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't agree with you more. So 5 years.
Yeah. 5 years, I think where I would like to be is I'd like to have, I'd like to be influencing a large number of people with, not just, see, the formula that works for me might not work for someone else. Like I was telling you, my realtor who got me into this, Edgar Munoz, we have totally different personalities.
Yeah.
And so what works for me, my methodology might not work, but the philosophy does. And so in 5 years, I would like to see that there's a larger number of people who are inspired by a philosophy that I have and who are successful in real estate, and where I can maybe slow down a little bit and put my energy elsewhere in the real estate industry. But I mean, if you're on the road 7 days a week and having fun, it does take energy.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. Well, I think the growth opportunity and the rooms that you're going to be in, I think we're kind of setting the stage for that. And I think just the level of involvement that we have in the community, the number of events that we are all doing, the speaking engagements that a lot of us are already involved in, as you evolve, as that infant gets older and as your wife's back to full operating capacity and as your sales back up because you're not so tied to the house and you're out and about at these events and, people love talking to you. You're very personable. You know how to connect with people. So I would hope to see you on stage, at some point,
Yeah.
speaking to people, or maybe interviewing
would love to do that.
with myself or
Right.
Andy, or maybe we bring you into one of these trainings and do an interview with you about your success. Since
Sure.
taking the leap,
Right.
you can definitely impact other people's lives with your story,
One thing that I have to offer through my experiences, and again, this is where failure becomes a part of saying, "Ooh, that was probably a dumb thing I did," or I was 100% right in what I did. I was in the wrong environment. So there's different qualifiers of what failure is. But having spent 20 years in the very, very high-end, ultra-premium fine dining and, high-end hotels, it has helped me understand how to sell what is true customer service. And so I've done that many times. Recently, I did something for Veterans United.
I heard.
Yeah.
Actually, Aaron told me, man. I was like, oh,
I love
that's
it.
dope. So,
I love it.
and then my first thought was, well, fuck, he needs to do that for Iron Valley. What are we doing, man? So bring Chris in for one of these interviews.
Yeah. So
you know what I mean? So,
yeah, that really, I'm glad you kind of brought that up, because ultimately, real fulfillment is seeing other people say, man, that's going to help me. That's going to make me better. And they apply it in their own way, but the
and then you
principles
watch
are
it
there.
happen.
Right.
That's why I do what I do every day, man.
Yeah.
I sit here and watch people go from zero to, we got 20-something-year-old cats out here making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 easily a year. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
We got people making $500,000 part-time. We got people buying new houses and buying vacation
Right.
rentals and hopping on those private flights. And, when you see people achieve their dreams and you know that you're a part of that, what else is there to do?
There's a purity to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a legacy, because so many of us, and I can't remember if I heard you mention this before, but so many people, they're like talking about how they're going to transfer this to their children, not transfer their wealth, but their knowledge and the industry. And who knows in 20 years, what technologies will be out there.
Yeah.
But you're right. See, that's really the bigger thing. I honestly don't dream of a bigger and better home.
Right.
I dream of deeper, richer relationships with people. And I have so much fun with real estate. There is just not a time that I feel like, oh gosh, I hate this. I don't.
Me neither. I've never been depressed about handing somebody keys or
Right.
helping somebody make more money than they've ever made in their life in one transaction.
Right.
There's not a lot of places or industries out there where you get that kind of gratification when the job is done.
Correct.
If you're doing it for the money, you're not going to last. I think everybody that has been doing it at a high level for a long time knows sometimes you're not going to get paid a full commission. Sometimes somebody can't cover those repairs. Sometimes you can't make up the appraisal gap and you lose a deal. Sometimes,
Mike, that right there, that is something that my mentor, Edgar, he would probably laugh, because he probably could see times where he would recommend, Chris, just pay it for them and make it easy. And I'm like, oh, no, I can't do that. That's $300. That's $500. But I have finally moved into that realm where it's more than just that bottom line.
absolutely.
I bought a garage door for somebody, $1,600. I can't believe I recommended that. But you know what? The deal's done. They're happy. And that's success, being able to do something like that.
Absolutely.
And it not bother you.
And guess what? It'll come back. In some way, shape, or form, that's going to come back.
Hopefully not as a door.
Hopefully it's a referral, So
Absolutely.
I think
Yeah.
there's a lot to be said about how you make people feel, man. So
Right.
they could have the best experience in the world, but if that was the one thing that was going to keep them from having a 5-star, you just sealed the deal. You know what I mean?
That's
So,
exactly it. You're right.
That's the customer service level that you have experience in, and now you just apply it to your real estate business.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Right.
If you brought somebody's meal or their drinks out at the wrong temperature or the fork and knife wasn't laid out right. And, whatever the case is, it's the same thing here. You're just setting a different table.
And at a so when I was in hospitality, we're dealing with, the most expensive bottle of wine that I served was $14,000 bottle of wine. Yeah. Now, when you're pouring that wine into a glass and there's a little calculator in your head saying, well, let's see, there's about 4 glasses in a bottle, that's $14,000. So you're looking at a $3,500 glass of wine. You don't fill the glass up, but I've just poured an inch of wine and that's about $1,200. What if I knock that glass over? You start to see the world a little bit differently when it's a higher transaction. And so when you're dealing with real estate, a dumb mistake can cost $1,200
easily.
Yeah, right.
If not 12,000.
And we're very motivated to hone our craft and be very, very good at what we do.
Because it's a big deal. Yes. There's a lot of liability in a real estate transaction, and we do not want to be the liable party.
Correct.
And
that's why you guys are always offering training.
Yeah, and ultimately represent your client to the best of your ability, right? And how can you do that if you're not taking the time to master your craft?
Yeah.
So you get paid what you're worth, not based on, time. It's based on the amount of experience you put in that time. If you look at what we've done in 3.5 years, not even 3.5, May 1st, what is it? We're in September. So yeah, October 1st will be 3.5 years exactly.
Yeah, amazing.
Right? There are companies that have been open for 10, 15, 20 years that haven't done that. So when you talk about experience, just because they've been open for 10 or 15 years doesn't mean they have the experience that we've accrued in 3.
Right.
Same thing with like a military career. Some people could spend 20 years in the military in the same branch and never have had the same experiences as somebody that did 5 years. Right? So a number is just that. It's a number.
Right.
But also what's the number within the number, i.e. the number of experiences within that time frame. That's what really equates to experience. Oh, you've been doing this 30 years, but your best year was 7 transactions?
Right.
We hear it in the industry all the time. Oh, I've been doing this 35 years. Right. Okay, so you don't sell houses. Every time. That's what goes in my brain.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
So
the longer they've been in it, the more they're out of it. That's what it seems.
Yeah, unless you're somewhere that is transitioning with the market and embracing technology and understanding that the industry has changed. And there is a place where you can get 100% commission and support.
Right.
They exist. We just happen to be one of them, right? So, but that's where the game is now. So, well, the last question, and we can stop or we can keep going after this question for you anyways, as far as kind of what we've been asking everybody. When you think about you and your family and what you would consider your peak life, what's the top of the mountain for you? What's that look like? Your peak life, like all encompassing, not just business, not just money, but like what's your peak life look like?
You shared that question when you said we were going to have this interview. And so that's a question that sort of distills for a little while and you start to think it through a lot. And I would say most people who succeed recognize that the more time they invest, the more they succeed. And it's like doing 55 miles an hour, and next thing you know it, you're doing 60, then 65, then 70, then 75. When you're used to driving at 75 miles an hour, and there's someone who's doing 55 in front of you, it pisses you off. Get out of my way. It's a dangerous way to live. And that's what success often can do. It can cause people to go at 100 miles an hour, invest their time in everything except the relationships that will last. So what is peak life to me is that I will be able to be under a tree that has the fruit of good labor, and whenever I want, I can pick some of that fruit and enjoy it. So I don't want to be a slave to a schedule. A peak life to me is to be able to say, when I want to slow down, I can. When I want to enjoy the relationships around me, I can. When I want to fulfill a dream and go to Spain or go to Mexico,
You can.
or I can do it. And I would say that the one beautiful thing about success is I'm not worried if I need a tire on my car.
Right.
I'm not worried. Something is making a noise in my air conditioning system. I'm not worried about that. So peak life is really about relationships, and it's investing. It's really a balance between investing in your success that enables you to have more time for relationships.
Yeah, that's solid. But it's, how old are you?
59.
So I only asked that because that's a long time, man. You've learned a lot of lessons.
Right.
You've gained a lot of that wisdom you spoke to. And not a lot of people have the amount of wisdom and knowledge that you have. They haven't worked in a service industry for 20 years. They haven't been jobless. You know what I mean? Like some
Right.
people haven't been laid
Right.
off. Some people don't
Right.
have those experiences. So
Sure.
I believe that, coupled with your faith
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that you're surrounded by good people, gives you that viewpoint of success.
Yeah, you're
Like
right.
like all of us understand that the new car doesn't matter.
Mhm.
All of us understand that a mansion, like, bro, nobody cares.
Mhm.
Like you know why people buy big houses? To make money off of them.
Mhm.
Right? Like I don't think anybody buys a big house because they want to clean it and they want to do the maintenance and they want to. No, typically you have a family at that time that fits that need, and then eventually it becomes too much, and hopefully it's an asset and you can make that money back off of it, like, or you can make passive money off of it, or so. Success isn't based on that monetary information. It's based on those relationships. Success means nothing if you're not enjoying it with people that you love.
Right.
You know, that at the end of the day. So I think your definition of a peak life is great. And that's really the end of the interview. But what we've been doing today is, do you have a question for me? Anything that you want to ask me or you want me to speak on while we're here?
Oh, gee, I didn't have time to prepare a good question. How has your life been enriched by your new wife?
Oh, you came with that off the top? Dang. So I'm actually not surprised that you asked that, because you and my wife have had extensive conversations. She's a huge fan of yours. She's a great soul,
Yeah.
you know. But also I've never been supported the way that she supports me.
Right.
I've never been with somebody else that owns and operates a successful business. I've never been with somebody that is in a position of, I have to perform or this fails every single day. So I see her as an equal, you know. I probably have never done that before in my life. So I feel like I found my match. But, you know, she's at home right now. She only has Sundays and Mondays off. I'm at work. Guess what? There's no complaints. There's no nagging. There's no, you know what it was? Hey, who you meeting today? Hey, what are you guys talking about today? You know, like everything I do, I have support. I don't get questioned. I don't get doubted. I don't have to deal with pushback from home, because she knows that everything that I'm doing is in the best interest of our family and our household.
Sure.
So she is the one that has allowed me to regain my freedom mentally and emotionally, to the point of, I'm not wrong for wanting to go deliver training to my people on a Saturday morning, right?
Right.
I'm not wrong for wanting to start a podcast. I'm not wrong for working 7 days a week, because that's what people will tell you. Oh, slow down. Oh, don't work so hard. Oh, no. You know why they tell you that? Because they don't want you to be more successful than them. But to your point, success is a self-measurement.
Yeah.
So I'm actually not chasing anybody
Right.
except for what I want.
I mean, there's a misconception, like when you said working 7 days a week, that immediately just rings of, oh, you don't want to do that. And I know that you and I and many others that are part of this organization, we recognize, hold on for a second. I don't mean work.
Right.
I am being.
So, yeah.
I am being. I'm.
So that's a great point. Doing this podcast is not work.
Exactly.
This is fun.
Right.
A good friend of mine is sitting right there recording it. Another friend of mine is sitting right here chopping it up with me. We all sell a lot of real estate. We all have families that we love and support. We're all fathers and husbands and mentors and business owners. This is not work.
Right.
Work is when you have to clock in and you have to report to somebody, and then you have to go ask them when you can leave, and your back hurts because you've been moving shit all day, and or maybe you're sunburnt and you got calluses on your hands or whatever the case is. Like, this is not work. Right. There's a misconception in 2023 in the world about what work is.
That's right.
And most people aren't doing it.
And that's because they don't know. See, I have found that the greatest thing, the greatest accomplishment in life is to know what you were meant to do and be. And so many people can't. And I have a philosophy that until you're 30 years old, you should try many different things. You get out of high school, go work a job, get your butt kicked, but you're not allowed to quit in 30 days.
We're gonna wrap this right back to the question that you asked me about my wife.
Right.
So my wife's name is Evie, or Evie Elise, if you will. And I mentioned her owning a business. She owns Gringo's Taqueria on Norfolk Avenue at the ocean front. They've been open for 20 years. She's been the owner for 18 of those years. She bought it when she was like 20 years old. She's just a boss. Yeah. So the ultimate enrichment was having somebody that just understood what it takes to run a successful business. Right. I think a lot of people see what we're doing out here and they're just like, oh, there's a secret. Yeah, well, cat's out of the bag. I work harder than you. Like, it's such a ignorant and arrogant statement from people to say, oh, there must be this or oh, there must be that. No. What are you doing right now on Sunday morning? What were you doing yesterday on Saturday morning? What were you doing Friday night at 9:00 when I was at the office handling something for a client? What were you doing? Like, no, stop making excuses and measuring your life by mine. Because I'm not doing what I'm doing for you to measure your life by mine. I'm hoping that you draw inspiration from it. Because my ultimate goal is to impact people's lives. It's not to make money.
Right.
Anybody can make money, but can you help other people do it? Can you teach other people how to fish so they can eat for a lifetime? So the ultimate enrichment from Evie has just been that I can be who I am. I can step fully into who I am and walk daily in my purpose. And my purpose wasn't just to sell houses. It's not just to run the firm. It's not just to start a title company and hope we make it. It's not just to, no. It was, how many people can I impact? How many people can I help live a better life? Because up until this point of getting out of the Navy, my life was very fucking hard. You know, to your point, you learn all these things through the vehicle of failure. Well, where I'm from, my whole bloodline was failures. So from day one, I didn't have guidance. I had to go get it myself. From day one, I only knew what being poor was. So when I had an opportunity to be a father and determine my own destiny, you're going to stop me? No.
Right.
No, nobody is. I can't give other people that belief in themselves. I have that belief in myself because of what I've been through, what I've endured, and what I've achieved thereafter.
Right.
Evie has been the support of, oh no, you go fucking do that. You know, so like if there's a speaking engagement, absolutely go. If I got to work Saturday, absolutely do that. If I got to show houses, no problem. I got the kids. Like, it's just the ultimate support. And it's both ways.
Right.
You know,
right.
So that has been how my life has been enriched.
There's your greatest success right there. Your greatest success is in a relationship because, you know, we could have, you know, a tsunami just destroy our state
Yeah.
and you pick up and you go somewhere else, you have everything that you need to succeed because you have a relationship with someone. You have a kindred spirit and you're single-minded, and that indomitable spirit. I think that one of the greatest failures of people today is the fear of hard work. And the greatest gift is understanding the joy of hard work. Not being stupid, but just knowing how to work hard.
Awesome, Chris. Well, we're going to wrap it up. I appreciate you coming in today, and be on the lookout for your episode when it drops. And I hope you'll share it. And
thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for letting me be a part of something great.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.